Science. Greetings, the Astro 30 here yet again, and welcome back to AEL. Now, if you're new to this channel, please consider going down below and subscribing if you haven't done so already. Cheers. Well, I've actually got the curtains open on the window there. Well, not curtains, they're blinds. I keep calling them curtains. And it's letting in natural light, so that actually is going to make the quality of my future videos now a lot clearer. The other videos I was doing in the other place, I always had the curtains shut with LED lights on, and the video quality when I was editing always looked washed out. Anyway, that's not the subject of today's video. As you can see, I've got all the test equipment set up, well, all the test equipment I own anyway, set up here: power supplies, multimeter, and the oscilloscope behind the lamp there, and the soldering iron station control unit. Now, it's sitting on this thing, and what these things are actually designed for, and what I'm not using it for, is they're actually a breakfast table that you use when you're in bed, so you can have breakfast in bed, or even when you're sitting on the couch. You can have a little table in front of you and you can eat your meal off of it, and that's why there's a curved surface at the front here that's to accommodate for your stomach. However, in my whole entire life I have never used one of these things for that purpose. I don't eat breakfast in bed and don't really eat meals on the couch. Now, the issue with this is that side leg there has the potential to slip down between the gap in between the desk and the speaker, and so the only thing to stop the whole entire table falling completely off the desk is the speaker itself. And it has actually happened once already, but there is a pretty heavy power supply on the other side propped up against the leg, so it's only at the front surface of the leg, not the back surface, so it can still shift sideways. But the power supply, for the most part, would probably stop it from sliding laterally on the desk. Say in the instance of you want to pull the desk out a little bit to get cables up and down behind the back of the desk there, it could slide laterally that way when you're doing it. Also, it's ugly. It was only supposed to be temporary. I bought this from the tip shop originally for about $3, I think it was. And it was only supposed to be there for like a few weeks, and I was going to go get some wood, and I was actually going to make a U-shape little stand plinth shelf thing. So it's going to be like about 3/4 the length of the desk, about, so wide by so high, with a middle support peg leg thing, whatever. And that was going to run 3/4 the length of the desk, where you could have stuff under it, like power supplies and stuff, and the oscilloscope and everything goes on the top part. Well, that temporary turned into a month, 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, and then that monitor came along, which then buggered the idea of having that shelving unit running 3/4 of the length of the desk, because then that would be practically useless now, because the monitor would then covering that area of the shelves, making it potentially pointless. So I need to come up with a better solution. Yeah, I really need to drink a bit of my orange juice, trying to stay a bit healthier. Well, as healthy as that stuff is, it's got like only 20% real fruit juice in it. The rest of it's sugar. And that's where this thing comes in. This is an Anko brand, so it comes from Kmart. It was about $40. It's an 8-cube oak look shelving unit, and according to the diagram at the bottom there, the measurements are 1.22 meters high, so about 4 foot, 60 centimeters long, or 600 mil. So that would make each of these inner cubes width roughly around about 270 millimeters, because you've got to account for the thicknesses of these panels. Now, these 4 panels are actually just dowel pinned between these shelves. These shelves and top and bottom, they run the whole entire length, the whole entire 600mm, and these mount vertically with dowel pins into each of these shelves. Now, my oscilloscope is not going to fit in any of these cubes. The power supplies will. They give you some panels that you can put on the back end wherever you want so that things don't fall out of it. So what I'm going to do is this second tier, I'm going to not install this particular partition. So I'm going to have a partition here, here and here, and most of these up here will be closed off with the back. This will be removed, so that'll give me around about 580, something like that, millimeters of space there to put the oscilloscope. Now I don't know if the multimeter will fit in the same area, but I'll make it work. So these also are locked together, these side panels. They run up to here and then to there. These are locked in with those right angled locking nut thing that you put a Phillips head screwdriver on, and it goes into a metal stud on the other part. And they've been, I don't know what you call them, they've been doing that for years. So I don't know if there's going to be any lateral movement back and forth there. The only problem I'm going to have is when I don't install this particular partition, there's going to be no support for this shelf here anymore. So you can't put anything really too heavy in here. But you wouldn't anyway, it's not really that thick. So you may be asking, well, what am I going to use these extra 4 holes for? Well, to put my component bins. Because I don't have a lot of cupboard space to do that with, I can then utilise, you know, where this fake pot plant thing is, for putting components in there, and other stuff and tools and stuff like soldering, accessories, etc. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to take this out into the hallway because there's not a lot of room in here. I'm going to unpack the contents of the box, and we're going to be looking at what we're dealing with. I may in the end want to glue with some wood glue the dowel pins that go in these partitions between the shelves, just to give it a little bit more structural rigidity. It just means that you won't be able to take it apart, which could be an issue. But yeah, let's get this out in the hallway, unpacked, and we'll see what we got. I'm not sure what this red thing hanging out there is. I think that might be where all the screws and hardware are in. So yeah, let's get it out in the hallway. Alright, so with the contents of the box unpacked, here are the backing panels for the shelves, the compartments, but they only give you 4. However, that's not a real great problem, because it's the top 4 cubes that I actually want to have a back on, and the bottom 4 cubes, or actually 2 cubes and a long one, I want them open back so you can get the cables in and out. There's the shelves themselves and side panels, and they're all marked with numbers, and those are the partitions. And there's only 4 of them, obviously. So I'm only going to be using 3, as I said, and they are actually quite thicker than I thought. It looks to me to be 12mm thick, so that's pretty good, I guess. Anyway, so what I need to do is I need to look at the instructions, which are just down there on the floor, and it gives you basically an overview of how the thing is supposed to go together. And it looks like when you're assembling things, yeah, it's really hard to tell. But I think it means that you would assemble the inner star plus whatever you want to call it together first, and then marry the sides up to it. I have to play with it. But what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go out and get a hammer, because I don't have one. Well, I do, but it's downstairs and I don't have access at the moment. And some wood glue. These I guess they make sense. Maybe not, but yeah, I'll work through it. I'm not going to take, complete video of assembling this bloody thing. I mean, what's the point? But I will take snippets along the way, show you any problems I'm running into, etc. And the gross weight of this, or yeah, well, I suppose the net weight of this is about 17 kilos. So it's a pretty heavy thing. So alright, let me go out to the Hardmore store and I'll get some wood glue and a small hammer. I want a little small hammer anyway. Well, I've got some progress going on here. I've got the first few panels assembled with some dowel pins and wood glue. Got my first compartment here. It's easier to start with the bottom panel first, the partition, then join this middle shelf thing to the partition, so you've got like a sideways H going on. Put the dowel pins in and then put one of the sides on, because otherwise, because the way it's joined here, you will not get this panel on properly, or you won't get this one on if this is already on, is what I'm saying. So that's that. And these are those right angled locking things that I was talking about, quite common. Yeah, they marry up to these things here. And all this is for, there's only 4 of them, is to join the 2 halves together. So technically speaking, you could actually only make them up as like 1, I guess, because the next panel that goes on is similar to this, which is joined here at right angles there, so that would form the top up there. So you wouldn't actually need to include that. But I'm going to assemble the whole thing, so there's quite a bit of weight in it still. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'll put the second side on, because now I've got these 2 screwed in and doweled and glued. I can now turn it up on its end and then do this side. So I'll get on with that. Alright, so this is all I'm basically doing, is I'm bit of excess glue, putting a little bit of glue down in the dowel pin hole, or holes, like so. There isn't one on that side. And this is part B. They're 30 millimeters long by 5. I'll just slightly tap them in till they bottom out. Now there's dowel pins on this side as well to go onto the panel. So I might actually do that a little differently when I can find panel 4, wherever that's gone. Right here. Let's see. Which way up does this go? I don't think it really matters. Oh, yes it does. Because these are the cutouts for that, those locking mechanisms, so that has to go like that. So that means I have to put a dowel pin, 2 dowel pins in this end. This is actually kind of fun. I wasn't really going to film much of this, but yeah, it is what it is. Gives me something to do, and someone might find it enjoyable. Okay, see, this is the type of little hammer I want. Kind of a perfect size for doing small stuff. So I'm going to apply a bit of glue to the dowel pins on this side here. Could use a little bit more. And the dowel pins here. Okay, and now turn it the correct way around so that the finish is on the outside edge of the correct side. Put these 2 together. like that, and we pop a few screws in. And this is almost tier 1 done. So they do give you some little covering strips that you could put over the screw heads if you want to. I'm still debating whether or not to do that. Probably should pull the labels off, but there doesn't appear to be that much movement in it, like sideways flex. There's a little bit, but I think it'll do for the purposes I want it for. Alright, so that's that connected, and very, very good. Although there seems to be a gap here between the partition and this panel. Not sure why. Anyway, that's the first half complete. So now I'll continue the assembly, and I will put the right angle locks in and then work on the next panel, which is the top panel here, which is panel 7, which then joins the two halves together. And that's like building it exactly the same way I built this one. I started with the bottom piece and then put the partition in. So I'll just build it up like that. So I'll get on with that, and we'll come back when we've got something more to look at. There's the top piece done. Yeah, it went reasonably alright. I didn't realise that this bottom panel had 2 dowel pins that go all the way through. Actually, it's got 6. These are these longer ones here, the 50mm ones. And they can't count because I only have 1 left, and there should be 2 because I didn't use these in the first half for the bottom partition in the middle, which is what you're supposed to do to join the next panel, which is sitting there, to it. But oh well, they can't count. Right, I think it might be easier to put these back panels on the top bit with it not joined to the other half. So I'm going to upend this and lay it on its front, and then I'm going to apply these panels. Even in the hallway there's not a lot of room to work, but anyway. So I'm just opening the bag of panel pins. Now they've got this little chamfer either corner on one side, so I'm reckoning that is so that they go towards the middle, the center. So they would sort of, well, that's not going to work. Maybe it's this way. No, that's not going to work. How is this supposed to work? Yeah, so these are designed to only be on certain sections, not all of them, which is thoroughly annoying. Okay, well, I'm going to have to do it like that and leave 2 open ones, I guess. Yeah, I guess that's the way it's going to have to be, because I can't do it any other way. So let's get this flush with everything that it needs to be. So that's pretty good there. So yeah, that worked. Not. Let's try that again. Bitch. It's because they're so small that I can't get a good swing on the hammer with it without bashing my thumb. You're all waiting for me to hit my finger, aren't you? I think that will do. Right, let's now take it apart. No, I'm only joking. Let's join the two halves together and see how it looks then. Ew. Have I done that backwards? Oh no, that's alright, there's no finish on that side. Alright, I corrected my mistake. I used the other two panels after knocking the other ones off and threw the other ones out because I had two spare I'm not going to use anyway. I've got no use for the wood itself, so it went into the recycling bin. So I just screw these lock pins in and then we can join the two halves. They're not really the best design in the world, I must admit. Good thing about this kit is, even though it's an Anko brand, it's not made in China. It's made in Vietnam, which is nice. Nice, like a glove. Okay, so I can now do these locks up. So that they hold the thing together. There is a bit of wobble in it, but that should be fine. Yeah, alright. Now I've got the fun task of trying to get it up onto the desk over here. Now I have measured from the top of the desk to the ceiling and I've got 1700 millimeters there, or 1.7 meters. This is supposed to be at 1.22. It looks a bit bigger than that to me actually. So let's measure it. 1223 thereabouts. Okay, it'll fit. Because there's like about a good, I'd say, 1.5 feet before it even touches the ceiling, so that's fine. And there we go there. That looks quite alright actually. It's a lot better than that desk thing, and as we can see, there's plenty of clearance from the ceiling. It's not going to come into contact with anything. It's out from the wall a bit. And yeah, that looks quite snazzy. It still leaves me a good, I'm going to say 500 mil or so of desk space here to work on things. Not so much amplifiers. And the multimeter just fits next door to the oscilloscope, how I wanted it. So that's excellent. I'm quite pleased with that. That's probably the best $40 I've spent. Yes, this shelf space is being wasted mostly, but yeah, that worked out excellent. I'm so pleased with that. So that'll make life a bit easier. I mean, I stuck the soldering iron station off to the desk here on the left, on the right rather. Yeah, I could have probably stuck it to the top of the power supply. In fact, I might actually do that. Give me a second. Yeah, I think that will work better there. Just make sure it still works. Yeah, it still works. And the good thing about that is it gives me a little bit of extra length on the lead so I can move around on the desk rather than being restricted it to about here somewhere where it was originally. So that's heating up nicely. So I can turn that off. And I guess when the soldering iron's not actually being used, you can sit up there. I'll just pass the rubber cable up into the thing there so it's sort of out of the way. Or I could unscrew it. Anyway, I'm happy with that, so that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm going to start unpacking a box to put components up in the little top squares there. I didn't bother with putting the, I didn't bother putting the part J, which is this stuff. It's just, you know, a veneer stick-on thing that you cover the screw holes with. They haven't actually already pre-punched them out as round things that you can just peel off and stick over, so I'm not going to bother because I'll have to cut them out. So anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to go down below, like, comment and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And anyways, this is the Astro 30, and I'll see you in the next video, hopefully an electronic one. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.